Hi, I'm Marcell, speaking of sports. I want to take a moment and send out my prayers and best thoughts to the people of Japan. In fact, with today's technology giving us the ability to reach out to people everywhere, I want to send a special keep your heads up shout out to everyone facing tough times. Now it's on to sports. It was good to see the Miami Heat give their home fans something to cheer about as they ended their 5-game losing streak by beating the two-time defending champion Lakers in a close game. I'm hoping the guys in the Heat locker room came away learning a few things about themselves. Point number 1, it must be understood that in crunch time, the ball must go through Dwayne Wade. LeBron, you're a wonderful, magnificent player. No doubt you'll go down as one of the greatest of all time. But when it comes to finishing the game, I want D. Wade with the ball in his hands. And I get the feeling team president Pat Riley, coach Eric Spoelstra, and team owner Mickey Arison feel the same way. The second point is simply put, when in doubt, refer to point number 1. As for the Lakers, how about Kobe Bryant spending almost 2 hours after the game shooting and lifting weights? And let me stop you right now. Anyone out there who believes he did this for attention and not out of frustration for losing what he considered a very important game, well then you haven't been paying attention to this man's career. At any rate, although the national audience is saying that that game was a prelude to the NBA championship, we may have seen the last time the Lakers and Heat face each other this season. The Lakers have to get by Dallas and San Antonio in the West. Now the Heat, they have a much harder time of it in the East. They're going to have to get by the Celtics, the surging Chicago Bulls, and the Orlando Magic. Now speaking of Dallas, after watching Mark Cuban's boys demolish my Knicks, I've come away even more convinced that Knicks president Donnie Walsh must sit down with his decision makers and carefully evaluate their next move in their plan to bring the Knicks back to NBA prominence. The combination of Amari Stoudemire, Carmelo Anthony, and Chauncey Billups certainly gives the Knicks a roster that can make the playoffs if all goes well. But that won't be enough. To be placed among the elite in the East, the Knicks are going to have to improve their play in the middle. That means the center position. Now for this reason, I, unlike other New York basketball fans, won't be riveted to what's going on in the Big East tournament at the Garden. I'll be watching the Southeastern Conference tournament in Atlanta. My special attention will be paid to the Florida Gators, who just might have the answer to the Knicks' problems moving forward. The Gators center is 6'10" Vernon Macklin, a strong front court player who attacks the rim offensively and defensively in similar fashion to that of the Bulls' Joakim Noah, who himself played for the Gators. The Gators have another big man in 6'10" Chandler Parsons, whose game can be compared to that of Dallas's Dirk Nowitzki. Now both Macklin and Parsons are seniors, so the Knicks will do themselves well to keep an eye on those two, for potential draft purposes, of course. They then can spend lots of their money, and they have a lot of it, by the way, to sign current net guard Deron Williams, who becomes a free agent at the end of the season. Now this will improve the Knicks' position at the point because the 35-year-old Billups, with all of his big shot experience, will have a hard time keeping up with the young guys. Celtics' Rajon Rondo, Bulls' speedster Derrick Rose, Orlando Magic's Jameer Nelson, and finally, of course, D. Wade. It's going to be interesting to see how Nets billionaire owner Mikhail Prokhorov persuades Williams to stay as the team gets ready to move to Brooklyn, as opposed to Williams' desire, if there is any, to form a big three with Stoudemire and Carmelo in what is known as the Mecca of basketball on 33rd and Broadway. Another scenario is that the Knicks are laying in wait for Magic center Dwight Howard, who also becomes a free agent at the end of the year. An interesting side note, one of the coaches Howard gives credit to making him the player he is today is Magic assistant coach and former Knick Patrick Ewing. Now that I think about it, that thought can prove as much negative as it may prove positive to Knicks fans. So as you can see, the Knicks have some interesting decisions to make. I'm Marcell, speaking of sports. See you next time.